afternoon, everyone. Pleasure to be here, and what an act to follow. All you need is change, and all you need often for change is imagination. And I sort of thought, well, imagination and rubber glove. It could have gone imagination and a childlike approach to life. Because I perform a lot for kids. I've just been over in Christchurch performing to hundreds and thousands of kids over there, actually. And one of the really common questions that they ask after I've because I always have a question and answer after the shows that I do is, how do you come up with those ideas? And my answer to them is, well, I really try and be like you guys. I try to be like I was when I was a kid, because the great thing about being a kid is that you do use imagination. You are curious. You're constantly looking outside the box because everything is new and wonderful. Unfortunately, as we get older, we forget that. But one of the great things about being an adult is that you've learned a lot of skills on the way. So my answer to those kids, well, creativity really is about using your imagination, but trying to harness those skills that you learn along the way without having lost that initial curiosity. So I'm going to sort of really be having a look at what creativity is, but I'm going to sort of use music and making instruments out of crazy stuff as an analogy for that. I'm going to look at just taking a simple idea and running with that idea to see how you can improve that. Because a lot of the time, if we're after change, it's really taking an initial idea and seeing where you can move with that idea, ideally in collaboration with other people. And nowadays, that's so much more possible. So I'm going to start with something a little bit foolish, something, though, that I'm sure all of you have done yourselves, maybe a little bit more privately than this. But I'm sort of, in my game, I'm a little bit used to making a fool of myself in public. So I'm just going to start with this balloon. And as I said, I'm just going to use the making of a musical instrument as an analogy, generally for creativity and what that's about. And so it's like a little, if you want a little sort of short clip or look into the mind of a musical instrument inventor and maker. So I'm going to start off just with this balloon. Okay, so obviously I've got sound happening there, and I enjoy making that sound. But the reason we've got sound, and we'll sort of speed through this. I won't make it sort of a physics lecture in a sense, but we've got the sides of the balloon neck vibrating, and that's what sound is. Sound is vibration, one of the forms of vibration at certain frequencies. And music, in fact, is just organised sound. So I'm going to try and see if I can have a greater control over that vibration. There's another vibration happening over there. Now, I'm really only concerned at the moment with the balloon neck, because that's the sides of the balloon neck that are vibrating. So I'm going to cut that balloon neck off. Get rid of the balloon. And I'm just going to insert a bit of garden hose into the end of the balloon neck and tape it on. Because what I'm interested in checking out is just what happens now when I force air just by blowing through the garden hose through the balloon neck. Okay, maybe not the world's most beautiful musical instrument. Sort of a demented duck sort of sound. But I'm going to sort of, the mind is working, and okay, why is that sounding like that? Well, that's pretty flaccid sort of membranes happening there, because it's basically vibrating membranes. So I'm going to just use another tube now, and I could just use another bit of garden hose. So if you want to try it yourself, just 2 bits of garden hose. I'm just using a bit of plastic water pipe here in this case, just to show you can use a variety of different tubes. At this point, if it's a kids' audience, I actually have to admonish them not to go out and cut their own garden hose. I just finished a school show many years ago, and I was it was in Malakuta down in Victoria, and I was in the supermarket after school, and I could see a little kid from the school sort of talking to his mum, saying, "Oh yeah, that's the guy over there. He came in," and I thought, "Oh, that's nice. She's going to come and say, oh, Johnny saw you today and he really loved it." And she came striding down the aisle and said, "So you're the man who's responsible for the destruction of our garden hose." So here we have, this time I've still got that the balloon neck, but this time what I'm going to try and do to see if I can improve the sound is still blowing the air in through the garden hose, but now there's just going to be one part of the balloon neck vibrating rather than the 2 sides together. So let's give that a whirl. Okay, I reckon that's an improvement in the sound. Not quite the demented duck that it was before. Now, I've already just drilled a couple of finger holes down the bottom, so with finger holes, basically, that allows me to control pitch, because pitch is related to the length of the vibrating tube. So if I've got both fingers down on the finger holes, got the full length of the tube vibrating, take them off, and the length of the tube is basically round about where that top hole is. So we'll check that out. Okay, so we've sort of, begun the journey. I can get different notes now. I can sort of roughly control the pitch. Now, so one of the things we can look at in terms of, again, taking an idea and running with it is just let's change the parameters. So one of the parameters we can change is just size. So let's go bigger. So we've gone longer. So longer will mean it's deeper, a deeper sound. It's larger diameter, so volume equals volume. So a larger volume of air is being displaced, so it's going to be a louder sound. Stronger membrane instead of the balloon, rubber glove, blowing air into the thumb of the rubber glove, and now as I pull this down in exactly the same way, it's going to be that rubber glove that vibrates. Okay, we've changed from the demented duck to the demented cow. But one of the reasons it's sounding a bit demented is because I'm not able to maintain a constant tension on that membrane. So I'm just going to take this pre-prepared tube. This time in perspex, so you can sort of see what's going on. There's 2 tubes, one inside the other. There's my rubber glove. So the rubber glove now is taped onto the top of the larger diameter tube. I've drilled a small hole in the side of the larger diameter tube. I can blow air in through that. The air is then actually trapped between the 2 tubes because I've sealed that off with a bit of bicycle inner tube. And now, in order for the air to move or get anywhere, it's going to cause that membrane to vibrate with the rubber glove. Wow, that's spooky. Okay, so we've got now this a more controlled sound, and you notice it's sort of a little bit sort of truck horny or boat horny. In fact, that's exactly how they make truck horns. They just get a bit of rubber glove. But it's that same process. They use a thin metal membrane and use highly compressed air to move that metal membrane in the same way. So once again, we can change the pitch by changing the length of the tube like this. Okay, so the next thing that we can look at changing is actually the material of the membrane. So I've gone back to this plastic water pipe, slightly longer. I've already drilled the holes just to speed up the process. The same thing is going to happen. I can blow air in through the side here. There's a larger tube. This is just a bit of irrigation. It's just an irrigation fitting, a T-junction. But what I'm going to do now is just use an ordinary bit of plastic shopping bag. So I've already cut a section off. I'm going to even cut it even smaller now. And I'm going to tape that chopping bag over the end because I'm going to blow air into the side. It's exactly the same as those last couple of instruments I've showed you, but in this case the air's coming straight out the end, but I'm going to get it to vibrate the plastic shopping bag. So I'm going to tape that on. Actually, if anyone wants to try and make one of these themselves, you can just go to my website, linseypollack.com, just go to instruments, and I've just got measurements of various instruments you can just download for free, just PDF files with all of the measurements. So this one I've called a funky. So you can make your very own funky. Okay, so tape that on. So now I'm blowing air in and it's going to be the plastic shopping bag that vibrates. Thank you. Well, I'm going to take that now just one more step. I'm a bit of a bagpipe freak. I ended up living in Macedonia for 8 months studying Macedonian bagpipes many years back. Most people have heard Scottish bagpipes, probably Irish bagpipes, but there are actually over 235 different types of bagpipes around the world. Well, actually 236 now because although the Scots were they were the sort of the last culture to get bagpipes, or second last, because here in Australia we have the most recent bagpipe, the Australian kitchen glove bagpipe. So there's our funky. There's another funky that I've made. It's exactly the same principle, but I've made in aluminium, blowing air into the glove. The glove's going to expand. That's going to become the bag, force air out through the two plastic shopping bag membrane reeds. Thank you. Okay, so that's just a little journey, taking an idea and seeing how, just again using sort of imagination and a bit of lateral thinking, we can go. And I think I've got probably just enough time to share with you just one other instrument. Again, this is a fairly lateral approach because all of the instruments, because I'm mainly a wind instrument maker and player, are made from tubes. And although the carrot isn't a tube, it has the potential. And change is all about potential. But you need to realise that potential. I'm just going to cut off the end of the carrot. And luckily I've just got my special carrot clarinet measuring stick here. I'm going to try and turn this carrot into a clarinet. I'll just cut the other end. Actually, this carrot is only just long enough. It's a little bit difficult sometimes, finding carrots large enough. I found myself on the back of a motor scooter with a rather large Spanish policeman one day in search of carrots. He took me 15 kilometres out to a cold store. Try going to a Spanish cold store when you speak no Spanish. This policeman speaks no English. The people in the cold store speak no English, and you explain you want a very big carrot to make a clarinet with. Okay, so what I've just done then is just very carefully mark the fingerhole positions. Again, if you want to sort of make this yourself, I've put up a video on YouTube. And so you just go to YouTube and type in... Can you guess what you type in? You type in, making a carrot clarinet. This is the tricky bit. Sorry, I was using 12mm drill bit before. So 7mm drill bit for those that are interested for the finger holes, 6 finger holes. And one more at the top. And then the thumb hole. Thanks very much, everyone. Sorry, what was that? 'Time's up, sorry. 0, 0, 0, flash, flash, flash. Very, very quickly, I'll